Here's a dietitian's review on Mary Ruth's Liquid Morning Multivitamin plus hair growth. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be reviewing a product that a lot of you have asked me to do, which is Mary Ruth's Liquid Morning Multivitamin plus hair growth. Now I have reviewed Mary Ruth's Liquid Morning Multivitamin before. That was the general one, so feel free to check my video out after this one. But in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the version that's supposed to help with hair growth. But first, hi, my name is Katey. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer. My goal at this channel is to help you learn more about nutrition, fitness, and wellness so that you could be your best, whatever that looks like. I also love to do product reviews, so if you have any products or topics you want me to cover, just let me know in the comments below. And with that, let's get started. What is Mary Ruth's Liquid Morning Multivitamin plus hair growth? Mary Ruth is a very popular supplement brand, and their most popular product is their Liquid Morning Multivitamin, which, as I mentioned, I have done a review on before. The main difference between the Liquid Morning Multivitamin and the one we're reviewing today on hair growth is the fact that the hair growth one has additional ingredients that are supposed to support hair growth and improve hair thinning. For example, this hair growth multivitamin has way more biotin, and it also has an ingredient known as Lustriva. And the company claims that these additional ingredients help to make hair thicker, support general hair health, and improve the appearance of wrinkles. So what we want to know from this video is, will it actually work? So let's take a look at their ingredients. If we take a look at their supplements fact table, we do see that it is very similar to the Liquid Morning Multivitamin. Really, there are only a few small differences. First of all, the hair growth multivitamin contains significantly more biotin. We're talking 10,000 micrograms compared to 300 micrograms in the regular multivitamin. Also, there's significantly higher amounts of the mineral known as chromium. So the hair growth multivitamin has 1,000 micrograms, while the regular multivitamin only has 18 micrograms. Finally, like I mentioned, the hair growth multivitamin has a special ingredient known as Lustriva in a dose of 160 milligrams, which I will talk about shortly. So because most of the nutrients are the same, you can refer to my other video to go over the general nutrients, but I'm going to specifically talk about the additional ingredients in the hair growth one, as those are the ingredients that are going to separate the products and make them different from one another. So first, let's take a look at biotin. In this supplement, there is 10,000 micrograms, or 33,333% the daily value of biotin. This is a lot. In my other video, I also say that even in the regular multivitamin, 300 micrograms of biotin is a very high dose. So for this hair growth one to have 10,000 micrograms, that's huge. Now, most people are aware that biotin is linked with hair health, skin health, and nail health. But is there actually truth to that? The answer is sort of, but not really. First of all, biotin is technically a B vitamin and is known as B7. When it was first discovered, it was actually known as vitamin H, and this was based on two German words known as Haut and Haar, which translate to skin and hair. To put the dose into perspective, the adequate intake for adults for biotin is 30 micrograms and a tiny bit higher during pregnancy and lactation. So when we compare the biotin dose that's found in the hair growth supplement, which is 10,000 micrograms, the hair growth supplement has 9,970 micrograms additional biotin than what the adequate intake is for adults. Now, we do need biotin in our diet because it is a cofactor in many reactions in the body. In particular, it's involved in energy metabolism. Where it relates to hair is that biotin is important for keratin production, and keratin is a main protein found in our hair. And if someone is deficient in biotin, there are a lot of related symptoms. So for example, thinning hair, brittle nails, and a variety of different skin issues. But with that being said, biotin deficiency is actually really rare, like extremely rare for the average person. And it's pretty much non-existent in anyone that consumes the average diet. On top of this, biotin is a water-soluble vitamin. So our body will take in the amount that it needs, but after that, our body isn't going to store it. So what ends up happening is it gets excreted through our urine. When it comes to research on biotin, the research is surprisingly scarce, and most of the research that does focus on biotin in terms of hair conditions or skin conditions is mostly related to people with specific medical conditions, such as alopecia, which is a hair loss disorder, uncombable hair syndrome, and then any other medical condition that can lead to biotin deficiency. Based on current evidence, so we're talking late 2024, I actually found a really recent review on it. There is no quality evidence that supports supplementing with biotin to support hair growth. What's really interesting about this recent review is that even the authors are discussing the huge issue we're having, where a lot of people are taking really small research studies and extrapolating that to the general population. So what a lot of people will end up doing is they they find one small research study that says biotin was helpful in people with a specific medical condition, and they apply that to the general healthy population as if somehow it's going to work the exact same. When in reality, we know that specific medical conditions require specific treatments, but when you're a healthy individual, you're not dealing with that in your body, and so taking a random supplement like biotin to somehow help an issue that isn't there for you, it's very unlikely it's going to work. And what ends up happening is a lot of companies try to profit off of this. They even go as far as to say that the misinformation regarding biotin supplements can be harmful for the general population, which is true because excessive amounts of biotin can affect laboratory results, especially lab results that detect heart attacks. With that being said, if you do decide to take a biotin supplement, the best thing you can do is that whenever you're doing laboratory tests, it's really important to tell your doctor or whoever is doing the lab tests that you are taking a biotin supplement. Ultimately, there isn't really any evidence that supports taking biotin supplements for the general population who has adequate biotin levels in terms of supporting hair growth or any other factors such as our nails or our skin. And I do not believe it is worth it to be taking this high amount of biotin. Just remember that more is not always better. Okay, so now let's move on to the next ingredient, which is Lustriva. They claim that Lustriva has been clinically shown to grow fuller, thicker hair in as little as 3 weeks. But first of all, let's take a look at what Lustriva even is. So briefly, Lustriva is an inositol stabilized, arginine silicate, and magnesium biotinate. Now I dare you to say that 3 times. I do want to point out that within this is magnesium biotinate, which is where the biotin in this whole supplement comes from. And they say that this form of biotin is 40 times more soluble than D-biotin, which is simply another form of biotin. But again, biotin hasn't been shown in research to actually support hair growth in the average general population, where again, people aren't deficient in biotin. So really, even if it is more soluble, you're still having a really, really high dose, and there doesn't really seem to be any benefit anyway, so I don't even see the point in this. Within the supplement, it also contains arginine silicate, which is a type of silicone, and they claim that this supports skin health and reducing the appearance of wrinkles. So now that we know what the ingredients are, let's address some of the claims. So the main claim with Lustriva is that it's supposed to have clinically significant results in supporting fuller, thicker hair growth in as little as 3 weeks. First of all, Mary Ruth makes this claim on their website, but they don't even provide the study to support the claims that they are making. And honestly, I say this about all companies, it's not just Mary Ruth, but whenever I see companies making these big claims, but then they don't provide the research on their website where they're making these claims from, I feel like that's a huge red flag. So of course, I did do my due diligence and tried to research some of the studies on Lustriva, and I found 2. Now keep in mind that Lustriva is a patented product, so they may have results that haven't been published, but of course I can only review what is available to the public. So for the 2 studies, I'm going to briefly talk about them. I'm going to talk about the one with the best study design first, and then I'll talk about the other one that has a pretty bad study design very briefly after. So first we have a 2021 randomized double-blind study that looked at its effect on hair and skin health in generally healthy women. Within the study, they had 90 healthy females, meaning that they don't have any underlying chronic issues that met the criteria for hair thinning by a physician. And then they were divided into 3 groups. They had a high-dose Lustriva group, a low-dose Lustriva group, and then a placebo group. And this study ran for 3 months. On top of hair, they also wanted to look at skin health as well. So after 3 months, the high-dose Lustriva group was the only one that had significant improvements in skin health. In particular, those that took a high dose of Lustriva had significantly reduced appearance of wrinkles and the depth of the wrinkles, so how deep they were. Fine lines and wrinkles did improve for both the low dose and the high dose group, but when it came to skin smoothness, only the high dose Lustriva group actually had significant results, and no changes were seen in the placebo group. However, another parameter of skin health known as skin elasticity had no improvements across all groups. When it came to nails, nail health did not improve across all of the groups. When it came to hair, there were significant improvements in the growth of vellus hair, which is actually peach fuzz, in the group that took the high dose of Lustriva. There were also significant improvements in terminal hair, which is the hair that grows from our head. Now, before we get too excited about this, even the placebo group had significant improvements in hair growth, so we can't really say at this time that Lustriva was the only thing that led to hair growth, when those who took the placebo also had significant results too. And the one thing we need to keep in mind is that with hair, we do have hair cycles. So simply put, our hair actually has a life cycle, and there are 3 main stages. So there's hair growth, then there's kind of this period of nothing that happens, it kind of just exists, and then the hair dies off and falls out of our head. So depending on where someone was in their hair cycle, that could affect the results as well. With that being said, even though the placebo group did have significant results too, the high dose Lustriva group still had a higher amount of improvement, so there could be something there. So based on this study alone, it seems that taking Lustriva seems to improve skin health, especially the depth of wrinkles, and it may help with hair growth to an extent as well. So based on this, we can say that Lustriva works, right? Well, I would say maybe. First of all, the authors point out that the main ingredient that seems to be doing most of the work is a component of Lustriva known known as arginine silicate. In particular, arginine is known to increase nitric oxide production, which helps to increase blood flow in the body. So if we have increased blood flow, potentially there is increased oxygen and increased nutrient delivery to our cells and even those that grow our hair. So this potentially could help. In terms of skin health, arginine is really important in supporting the synthesis of proline, which is a main component of collagen. And collagen is a very important structural component of our skin. The more collagen we have, the more youthful it looks. So from this, the authors speculate that the increased delivery of nutrients from taking Lustriva, particularly from arginine silicate, seems to be the main cause for these results. However, they didn't test for deficiencies, so it's very challenging to know if there needs to be a deficiency in place and you're just correcting a deficiency from this, or if taking additional amounts of this is going to lead to these improvements. In terms of biotin, even the authors of this study admit that there's really no evidence to support taking biotin for supporting our hair, skin, and nails. So again, to be honest, I don't really understand why the dose of biotin needs to be this high. However, they did suspect that the magnesium component, so remember this supplement has magnesium biotin in it, so they suspect that the magnesium may play a more important role. Because when it comes to magnesium, there are more people that are deficient in magnesium compared to barely anybody that's deficient in biotin. And the authors suspected, just as I do, that maybe there were deficiencies in place. So if someone was deficient in magnesium, let's say, they had improvements. But because they didn't test for deficiencies, we just can't know from this. And another thing we need to keep in mind is that while the population that they studied were generally healthy, they did have clinically diagnosed hair thinning from a physician. So obviously there were underlying issues that led to the hair thinning, whether that's a nutrient deficiency, whether that's a medical condition, or something else. So the big question at this time is, would this supplement actually work in the general healthy population that doesn't have clinical hair thinning? So let's say you want to take this supplement because you just want thicker hair or you want it to grow faster. We can't assume that from this study. And on top of all of this, this study was funded by the company that makes Lustriva. So of course there might be bias there. And again, we don't know if these people had deficiencies because they didn't test for it. So if you are a normal healthy person, will taking this supplement actually improve your hair and skin health? I'm a bit doubtful at this time, but we need more research to support this or prove it wrong. Now, in terms of the other study that I found, and there were only 2 available. Now, this study was from 2021 and there are a lot of issues with it. First of all, it was open label, meaning that the participants knew that they were taking the supplement. Also, it was only done in 12 people, so a very small study. And then the other major issue is that the participants did a 2-step program. So yes, they did take Lustriva as the supplement. And again, Lustriva is the ingredient found within Mary Ruth's multivitamin, but they also had to take a hair serum. So right away, we can't even say that even if the participants had significant results, that it was from Lustriva, because it could very well be just from what they were putting on their hair. And yes, from the study, the participants did see improvements in their hair, but this was all self-reported. So we can't even say objectively if there was actually clinically significant improvements, because again, the results were just reported by the people taking it. And again, this study was sponsored by the company that makes this product. So that study pretty much tells us nothing, and that's why I don't even want to give it much attention. And that's all there is for research. So pretty much one study that I would say is decent in design, and even then there are some limitations with it. So at this point, can we say that Lustriva that's found in Mary Ruth's multivitamin is actually going to support your hair growth? I'm not convinced at this time. And then finally, we'll talk about chromium very briefly. Now, like I mentioned, there's a significantly higher amount of chromium in this product. So there's 1,000 micrograms compared to 18 micrograms that's found in the regular multivitamin. And when I went on their website, Mary Ruth basically said that the only reason that they have it in this high dose is because various studies that they, again, don't cite say that this is the dose that should be taken. They also vaguely say that chromium helps with hormonal balance and metabolic processes, which isn't enough in my opinion to support adding this high of amount to your product. It's actually a pet peeve of mine when a lot of companies just vaguely say things like supports hormones, supports metabolism. If you've ever studied physiology before, you'll know that just saying hormones is really vague because we have so many different hormones. And if you say metabolism, well, you got to specify a little bit more. So those are really vague terms. And again, not enough in my book to be adding this to the product. Beyond these ingredients that I've talked about, the supplement does have additional vitamins and minerals that I did talk about in my other Mary Ruth multivitamin video. So it does have additional amounts of vitamin A, D, E. It has zinc, and it has other ingredients that could potentially support hair growth as well as skin health, especially if you do have a deficiency. However, again, I find most people that are taking this supplement don't actually have clinical hair loss. And even if you do have clinical hair loss, it's important that you understand the underlying root cause of it, because there are so many reasons why your hair may not be growing the way you want it to, or why you're having excessive hair loss. It very well could be because of a vitamin or mineral deficiency, but it also could be a medical condition or simply genetic. I, for example, was born with really thick hair hair because of my mom. My mom has really, really thick hair, so I got that. But other people I know, they have very thin hair or they don't have a lot of hair that grows on their head, and so they won't have the same hair that I do, and that's totally fine. But genetics do play a huge role. And so if you don't know the underlying reason why your hair is not growing fast or why it is thinning or why it is falling out, just taking a bunch of random vitamins and minerals has no benefit for you. Whatever we're ever talking about, you have to always understand the root cause, because if you don't know the root cause, you're just trying to find band-aid solution after band-aid solution to fix your problems, and they probably won't end up getting fixed. And you end up spending a lot of money and you end up getting really frustrated. On top of all of this, I actually question the ingredients a little bit because this product doesn't have any iron in it, which is super important for our hair growth. Also, it only has a very minuscule amount of amino acids. We're talking basically nothing. So really no significant amount of protein. And these are two nutrients that are really, really important for hair growth. So if you are iron deficient, which some people are, then you might experience hair loss or you may experience poorer hair health. Same thing with protein. If you're not getting enough protein in your diet or even calories, then you may also have hair issues too. On top of all of this, there is no quality research on Mary Ruth's morning liquid multivitamin plus hair growth itself. So really based on this, we're just making random assumptions based on really random studies and based on really random claims and assuming that when you put it all together into this supplement, it's somehow going to work. So the big question is, will this work for you? Like I mentioned, there really isn't enough high quality evidence to support taking Mary Ruth's multivitamin plus hair growth in terms of supporting skin and hair health. And there's really no high quality evidence in the additional ingredients that they add, such as biotin and chromium. On top of this, like I mentioned, Mary Ruth doesn't do any clinical trials on their product themselves, or at least they haven't published them. So we don't even know if the product's going to work. And we're basing all of this on pretty weak research. Does this mean that the product absolutely will not work? No, I'm not saying that at all. I think for some people, if they do have clinical deficiencies, again, your doctor will be able to tell you that. You really shouldn't just assume you have deficiencies when you don't know. The best thing is to get the real objective proof. But if you do have these clinical deficiencies, then maybe yes, taking something that's going to increase those levels may end up leading to results. But again, as I mentioned, it's really important that you see a doctor or dermatologist to really get to the underlying root causes of your issues. And yes, if they do find that you have a deficiency, yes, taking a supplement to increase those levels may work, but they're probably actually going to recommend that you take a very specific supplement. So if you're deficient in, let's say, magnesium, then they will recommend a magnesium supplement for you. And it's going to be dramatically cheaper than what this product is. And then you don't have to take a bunch of unnecessary nutrients that you don't necessarily need to take because you already get enough through your diet. If it's not a nutrient deficiency, and let's say it's a medical issue, then taking this supplement isn't going to fix the problem. Now, I do know that there are a lot of people online that say that they had great results from taking this product, and I think that's wonderful. I'm always happy to hear when people have positive results and they are happy. But the key thing here is just because it works for you or it worked for somebody else doesn't mean that it's going to work for other people. We are all so unique and so different that trying to say that I took this and it works for me, so it must work for everybody, that's just not realistic. And on their website, we do see mixed reviews. So some people found a lot of improvements and they really, really like the product. But as you can see here, there are also a lot of people that really didn't like the product and they either had issues with it or they found no results. Now, when it comes to the cost, this is another big issue. So on their website, it says that it is $74.95 US for a 30-day supply, which is pretty expensive for a multivitamin, especially when if you have a very specific deficiency. Again, let's go back to the magnesium example. If you have a magnesium deficiency, you can take a magnesium supplement for like $20 to $30 and it's significantly cheaper. So this is why it's really important to know what you're actually dealing with in terms of deficiencies, or if you even need a supplement, because you might just be throwing a lot of money out. Like $75 US a month is a lot of money for a lot of people for something that may not work. So do I recommend Mary Ruth hair growth? For the mass majority of people, no, I do not recommend Mary Ruth's liquid morning multivitamin plus hair growth. I think the biotin dose is outrageous and really, really high. And like I said in my previous video, almost all of the vitamins and minerals in this product are over the daily value, and I just don't believe in excessively adding nutrients to products under the premise of more is better, because more is not always better. So when it comes to taking this supplement, I think you're taking really high doses of vitamins and minerals with zero medical guidance, and I just find that pretty risky. And I'm just not convinced that there's enough research on the ingredients and Mary Ruth in general to support taking it for hair growth and skin health. And ultimately, I just don't think it's worth your money. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to cover any other products or topics, just let me know in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel, because your support helped me reach more people like you. And I'll see you in the next video.